Today we are going to talk about how to transform yourself and build your dream life. Again, welcome to Secret to Women's Success. This is Irene Lidval and this is episode number 2. And I have a question for you. When you started out in life, was it your goal to end up where you are today? To be working at just paying your bills? Not having the time to spend with your family, or just altogether giving up on your dreams? At the same time, have you ever had something hit you so hard that it brought you to tears? I'm talking about hearing or reading something that was so shocking that it felt just as if you got hit in the stomach. Something shocking. Shocking you to the point of bringing you to tears. I have. It's a couple of years, it's more than a couple of years ago, but I did some research that did just that. And it was prior to COVID, and it really scared the living light out of me. It was so to the point unsettling, in fact, that I could not get it out of my mind. And before I now hit you with gloom and doom and my statistics, let me tell you how we are surrounded by living examples of it. Just open your eyes and don't think it can't happen to you. I was visiting the ladies' restroom at Saks Fifth Avenue when I lived in New York when I saw her. A tiny, small-framed older woman with a face that showed all the hard times she had endured in a very frail body. Her back bent over as she wiped the sinks after use and handed out towels to dry your hands with. She worked pretty fast and smiled at me as she showed me towards a free stall and continued with her work. Why was this old woman still working at her age? Initially, I thought it must be because she wants to work, to get out and meet people. I somehow felt compelled to reach out to this woman. I wanted to know why she was still working. But when I saw her resting after wiping each sink, I quickly tossed out that assumptions and decided to start up a conversation with her. I said, "Thank you," when she handed me a towel. She smiled at me and said, "You're welcome." I asked her if she was from New York, and we started talking, as I had to ask her question. I was dying to know why she was still working. So I said, "So how long have you worked here?" "Oh," she said, "for a little while." And I said, "Do you like what you do?" "Well," she said, "I'm just glad to have a job." "Really? Why is that?" "Well," she said, "my pension is just not enough to live on, so I have to work." "What? Are you kidding me?" "If you don't mind, may I ask you a personal question?" "Sure," she replied. "How old are you?" She laughed out loud and said, "Well, I'm 85, will be 86 next month." Tears welled up in my eyes as I heard this. She was my mother's age, and I just had this vision that this could be my mother. I was so upset on her behalf. I wanted to tell her to quit her job right then and there. This is not how it should be, I thought, as I took on board what she had just told me. She was in her golden years. She should be enjoying life, not working for minimum wages, cleaning up after some people who left their mess behind for someone else to clean up. But at least she had a job. Then the reality set in. I could barely take care of myself, let alone this little old lady. Where were her kids and grandkids? Who was letting her work like this? What kind of family did she have? All these questions came toppling on me, and there I was, looking at my possible future. I was heartbroken and more than a little discouraged by the hard realization that this little old lady really could be me in about 35 years. Do you know that 70% of all women that are retiring in Australia will do so on the minimum pension? The average savings a pensioner has is around $1,000. The other 98% of the mortals are either dead or dead broke by age 65. Now that's really terrible statistic, isn't it? And we're talking about women. And as I have traveled the world, I have come across situations similar to the old lady time and again. People living life by default instead of by design, and working so hard throughout their lives only to end up broke at the end of their lives. Do you know that 98% of the older populations are miserable due to their finances? They put on a brave face to convince themselves and others that everything is okay, but it is not. They are working hard. They are maxed out on their credit cards. The marriages are unhappy if they still are in a marriage. And they do not know how to handle their children. And there are some children that try to live off their parents, and they try to put them in early retirement or old age homes to be able to get their little paws on what profit or wealth there could be in the real estate. It's called elderly abuse in my book. Sad facts. Working hard is not the answer. So how do I know? Because no one wants to end up like that. Almost everyone is trying to avoid the situation to become a statistic. And yet the statistics are the same. Dead broke by 65. If they had known that 98% will end up dead broke at age 65, they, mostly women, would have made different choices. And it was then it hit me like a brick. This cannot be me in the future. I have to find a different way, and so do you. I have found the way, and I have gained a personal passion of telling you, warning you, whatever you want to call it, but I have a moral obligation to warn my sisters around the world that life's road ends in a bad place if we don't do something different. Now, the way out is not as difficult as you might think, but you have to plan ahead. Not long ago, I was myself heading full steam ahead into the statistics, the 98%, or to become the statistics of the 70% of all women when retiring on a minimum pension. How could I have let this happen to me? That's not just a question that I asked myself, and you should ask yourself as well. Don't let this happen to you. Have you ever heard about a bad separation? I'm sure you have. Well, I lived it and I learned from it. I learned that the secret to success and how to dare to win. Was it easy? Nope. By all means, not at all. But it was very simple. I'm doing this podcast not only for you, but for myself as well, as a constant reminder why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I want you to become the 2%. So you listen carefully. So are you ready? Are you ready to have the life of your dreams? Today? Now? I know you are listening to this podcast. I know you want to believe there is more to life than what you have been living so far. Something is telling you that you deserve more, and you are right. What if you could start dreaming and actually fulfill your dreams? Because when you have money, actually, when you have no money and you have money worries, you have a tendency not to dream or set goals. You feel stuck and hopeless, as if life is never ever going to be any better. We all been there. And when we are there, you feel robbed of your life. I remember I did. And with that feeling, I started accusing myself. How could I have allowed this to happen? Then I lost my financial self-esteem. I could not make any money, even when I tried my hardest, because it was the mindset. And the result of having a bad money mindset was total self-sabotage, because I blamed myself for the situation. But when you don't have these issues to battle with, everything falls into place. Money makes money, and you make better decisions. Money clearly opens up more opportunities to live the life you want. It can buy you freedom. That's the freedom to pick up your life with a week's notice and go places you have always dreamed of. With money, you can help others dare to win. Freedom means you can decide what you want, to hang out with the people you love but barely see. My friends are scattered all over the world, and I miss them terribly. To have enough money in the bank for a rainy day, to be able to give back and to help others, that is what financial independence can bring. This podcast can help you to dare to win. Well, to be brave enough, you might need a GPS. Yeah, well, I know GPS doesn't talk back and it doesn't show you how to become successful, but it does guide you to the right place, even if you have no idea how you got there in the first place. You, for some mystical reason, turned up at the right place at the right time by the help of the GPS. You do have your own built-in GPS, but you might be afraid to trust that it actually is getting you there. You might think you know a better way to drive there, a faster way to get to your destination, and this is when you let your ego steer your journey and not listen to your intuition. Becoming financially independent is not luck or to be in the right place at the right time. Well, sometimes it is. But I tell you, there is no secret code that you have to figure out. All you have to do is follow directions. If a very successful person would tell you what to do, how to become financially independent, would you listen? Or would you be like the tire kickers? Easy for you to say, hey, you have the knack for making money. Or would you respond, I'm too old, or I don't know the right people, or I don't have the skills you do, or I don't have enough money, or any of a million reasons why you should be stuck in the 98%. And there are so many who wish they could have their own ATM machine. Well, I do too. Who doesn't? The truth is, you will have to work. You will have to take action. The truth is, you will not find one person who has all the answers, and you will have to find your own answers to dare to win. And to dare to win is all that is required. I know what I'm talking about, and I know that you know, deep inside you also know. And I now feel a moral obligation to share this with you. In this podcast, I am going to show you what to do, how to take the first step towards financial independence. In this podcast, it's my way to have a conversation with you, to share my experience and knowledge with you without actually meeting you in person. So this podcast is my way to coach you to financial independence and to find yourself today, now. And I hope that you embrace my message and share it with as many like-minded women as you can, so they too can have an easier and better life. Now let's talk a little bit about passion, purpose, and living by design. I do believe you and I have come together for a purpose, for you to achieve your success and realize your passion. Then you and I will join forces to help other sisters to get out of the rut. This podcast will hopefully make a big difference in your life. It will hopefully enlighten and empower your life with courage and change your life forever. I will show you steps you will need to take to try right away, and you will find that they will work. You will get the answer to the questions you don't know you had. It will lead you out of the storm and leave you in a better place. You will see the answers to your questions crystal clear. I truly believe you want to do the right thing by yourself and live your life by design and with a purpose. I know you want to reach your maximum potential, to use your talent, skills, and your abilities to become financially independent and stop worrying about money for the rest of your life. You can have the passion, purpose, and a life by design, your design. So it's your gut feeling that is telling you how to do it. Listen to your inner voice. Are you making the right decisions for you? Are you willing to learn specific skills, work diligently, and use strategies in my podcast and on my website? So let's get started. It's time to dig in. Now, I want you to get out your journal if you have one. If you don't, just hold everything here and go and get it, because now it's time to start writing. So, can you answer the following questions as they relate to money, but also in relation to anything else that is on your mind? What is most important here is that you learn to clear space in your mind. Because when we avoid the unpleasant thoughts and ignore the fears that are occurring below the surface of our mind, they tend to get louder in an effort to get our attention. As we learn to look at and process through these things, we make space. We can then use this space intentionally to direct our thoughts, emotions, and subsequent energy toward the creation of our desires. So, let's ask ourselves, what are you afraid of? What stories or memories really bother you? What have you not forgiven yourself for? That's a big one. What have you not forgiven someone else for? Is there anything you feel ashamed about? What do you wish you could change? Underneath that, please write this down and say it aloud with conviction and intention. I am ready, open and willing to see things differently. I am willing now to have a shift in my perception around my money and around any other area in need of transformation. I am available to see patterns, close doors, rearrange paradigms, and enter a new experience with money. For now, there is nothing you need to do with this information other than to allow your awareness and understanding of your desires, hopes, and fears to increase. I thank you for listening, and I will talk to you next week about stop procrastinating. And that's something that we all tend to do when we don't want to do something. So stay tuned, have a great weekend, and I talk to you soon. Thank you so much.